I need to make a whole bunch of these pencil making tools, which means that I need to make Bacote rails for the tools out of this raw lumber. So I first thought that I needed to start off by S4S'ing, planing and joining and squaring up all of this raw lumber, and then chop it up from there so that it could go to the final CNC milling. But then I got to thinking about it and actually considering the dimensions of the rails and how they could fit into this board and what I could do a lot more quickly and more efficiently as far as getting more pieces out of each board, not waste this wood, and came up with a different plan that's kind of based off the design of sliding table saws. So I designed and built a sled to mimic that sliding table saw action and mill this up directly, just essentially one step to go from rough lumber to pieces that can be CNC milled. So I first dimensioned the base. Now this is going to be a pretty narrow sled. It only has to span the distance between the two miter slots. And then I put some tape in each of the miter slots and use an 1/8 inch spacer so that the runners for the sled actually stick up above the tabletop just a little bit. I've made several sleds and I found this to be a pretty good way to put them all together. So with that in place, I can glue the runners onto the base, make sure that they're sliding well, get them all tacked down and in place, and from there I can put some screws in to hold them permanently in that position. The front and back supports are made from 2 pieces of 3/4 inch plywood glued together so that it's thick and strong enough. And I set the back support up to be located in one of 2 positions because the wood I have, some of the shorter pieces can only be used for 2 rails, but the longer ones can be used for 3. And I need to be able to set this sled up to do either one. So using thread taps works really well for this because I can move that back support as many times as I need to without worrying about anything wearing out. And you can see here I used tap threads in plywood to get more glue surface area for the threaded rods that I'm gluing into the top of each of these supports. And next I can drill countersunk through holes in the sled for the screws that will hold that back support in both of the 2 positions. In this video I'm going to be working with a shorter length, so I set the back support up for shorter pieces of wood. The front support never moves, so I can permanently glue and screw it in place. Next I make the clamping pieces that hold the wood in place when you tighten the hand wheels on each of the supports. And now I need some stops to register on the wood to hold it in the right place while it's being cut. And the rails on the pencil kit are 2 different thicknesses, so I drill a hole off center so that if I, flip the support around 180 degrees, it will give me the thickness I need for each one of the 2 rail thicknesses. And these are going to be held in place again with tapped holes and screws so that I can loosen and tighten them as many times as I need to and not worry about anything wearing out. So with these stop blocks in place, I'm ready to show you how it works. So I make an initial cut with just enough material removed to establish a flat edge. And then I make a second cut with that flat edge against the stop blocks to get the thickness that I'm looking for.
Ugh, Andy, your hands are too close to that blade.
So gonna have to make some handles. Now this will definitely be much more comfortable and safer to use. Now making sure these boards are dry and stable is more important than anything I've ever done, because if these are changing, you're changing the dimensions of the pencil. It's a high quality tool. I don't want to see any cracking on the ends. That'd be a bad deal. And as luck would have it, a company that makes really high quality moisture meters decided to hook me up in exchange for some coverage on my channel. So it was great timing, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about why these are really good. First of all, no pins. So it's a non-destructive method of testing. You could take this to a lumber yard and not get any frowns from the employees because you're putting a bunch of pinholes in their lumber. It sends an electromagnetic field into the wood and measures capacitance. It gives you an average as opposed to a pin meter that just measures the path of least resistance for electricity. And that capacitance is more repeatable from board to board, tree to tree. It doesn't vary as much as some of the salt and mineral levels and things that can change the conductance and give you either a false high or false low reading with a pin meter. And there's more cool features about this. I'm not going to get into everything, but I am going to show you how I quickly hunt through this pile of wood to find the boards that are below 10% moisture, just to start off and do this initial milling, and then I can come back and, after letting those pieces dry out even a little bit more, make sure they're all the same before going to the CNC. So this one's too wet. This one's good and dry. Okay, you get the idea. This will be really nice to have in the shop. Really appreciate it. Wagner meters, link in description. Check them out if a really good moisture meter is something that would benefit you. And now with the lumber selected, I can use the sled to cut pieces to the right size to go to the CNC. So that's the process with the sled. Fast and efficient. You can see I got 8 individual pieces out of that relatively small board, so that'll help me keep the costs as reasonable as possible. Pre-sales for the pencil kit are back open on my website, link in description. You can see some accessories that weren't available in the Indiegogo campaign, so check that out if you're at all interested in making your own pencils. Walnut colored pencil set, pretty cool. Also, thanks again to Wagner for the awesome meter. Maybe I can talk more about these in the future, but I think that helped me make this product the best that it possibly can be, so appreciate that. I need a unique outro. It's not going to be that, though.